Sagittarius, welcome to your weekly reading. Let's get started and see what messages we have for Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising for the week ahead. Now, keep in mind that these are general readings and may not resonate for everyone. So make sure to check out your other placements because you could have messages there as well. All right, my friends, let's get started. Sagittarius. What is the energy around the week ahead for Sagittarius? Temperance coming out, Sagittarius. Okay. That is your card. So we're starting the reading off with your energy here in Sagittarius, seeing the Six of Pentacles in reverse. So you're sort of being guided initially here to stay grounded in the moment, because it almost feels like there's some changes are emerging for you here, but it requires you to sort of stay grounded, trusting the timing. Don't lose your patience here. Don't give too much of yourself or take without giving. I feel like that Six of Pentacles is saying keep things in balance here. Don't feel like you're giving away too much, and don't feel like you're not giving enough, like keep things in balance when it comes to give and take. I feel like you're moving through a big evolution here where you're really needing to trust the timing of things. There's something here from the past that may be causing you to feel impatient. There may be something here like an inner child sort of situation or emotion coming through that is, it's almost like you're chasing something, Sagittarius. It's almost like you're chasing something and you're being impatient about it. You want it now. And it's not something that you have control over, is my feeling. It's something that, is happening outside of your control. So all you can do is make the offer and be patient and grounded and trusting that whatever comes to pass will be what needs to be, and that when we can't control things, sometimes we just have to surrender them and be grateful for what we do have. This could be a situation where you're sitting in lack and thinking, why me? How come I don't have that? How come everyone else has that and I can't have it? There could be something unique about your journey here, Sagittarius, where you're almost needing to let go of some emotional baggage that you've been carrying around. I'm almost getting the vibe here that you've been carrying it around since you were a child. And it's something that your inner child has been hanging on to and feeling out of balance because of it. You're hanging on to this. And instead of sort of being like, I'm grateful for my experience that I've had since I was a child, even though it didn't go, I feel like something must have happened during childhood that felt unfair, and it felt like it took your happiness in some way. It took your ability to be sort of happy as a child. But I think when you were a child, you were happy. It's just as an adult now that you reflect back, you think to yourself, well, that wasn't fair. And why me? How come that happened to me? And there's almost an energy here of saying it happened so that you could have the life that you did have. And I don't want to set anybody's triggers off, because I am feeling like this was something that happened that you felt was unfair, and I'm not taking that unfair feeling away, but the cards are sort of guiding me to say this happened so that you could have the life that you did. So look back at your experience and ask yourself, where can I be grateful? And I think that will shift your energy out of impatience and into gratitude, and you'll be able to let go of this baggage instead of carrying it around. Sometimes we feel like we can't possibly understand a situation that was unfair. It's unfair, and that's all there is to it. But I kind of feel like you're being guided to look at this from a different perspective and to say, well, that changed the course of everything. And as a result, I had the experience that I've had so far as an adult and growing up. And I feel like you're being guided to let go or walk away from clinging to needing that experience to be different. A, because it's in the past and it can't be different. But B, also because it's sort of holding you back from being grateful in the present moment. You know, being grateful for the experiences that were the ones that sort of shaped you moving forward. And it's interesting. It does feel like you just didn't think it was fair. It was like you gave and gave and gave. And I almost feel like in the present moment, you're somehow trying to recover that experience. And I feel like you're sacrificing. You're making some sacrifices to try to recover something from that experience. And you're actually just being guided to walk away, you know, and to accept it. And to see that you have no control over this, and to almost recognize that where you do have control is to just be grateful for the present moment. A very interesting start to your reading, Sagittarius. Ace of Swords, changing your perspective. Changing your perspective on the timing of this. Changing your perspective of how fast or slow things seem to be moving, and sort of sitting in it and shifting your mindset away from needing to control the timing. That is key here. Needing to control the timing seems to be key for you, but it's not for you to control. There's the Queen of Cups coming on that Six of Pentacles, which makes me feel like intuitively you are getting different messages from your higher self than you are from your more human self, your ego. Your ego and your higher self are giving you different messages about the fairness of this and the level of sacrifice you need to make in the present moment to somehow recover this situation. And it almost feels like you just need to give this situation love and forgiveness and let go. This is a very interesting reading of needing to bring love into this so that you don't feel hostage anymore. You don't feel held hostage by this past situation. It happened in the past, but it had a lingering effect. This has been affecting you ever since, it seems. And it's almost like you're being guided here to bring love into this and forgiveness and compassion, which always makes me sort of feel like whatever you're going through needs you to almost put yourself in that other person's shoes. And to be like, that could easily have happened to me. I could have been the one in their shoes. And that's sort of how compassion heals us, is that we start to recognize that circumstance and choice can sometimes be the only thing that separates us from someone else's experience. And, you know, being in their spot, being in their shoes, you might have made a similar choice. And you might be listening to this and thinking, I would never have made that choice. But it's really hard to actually anticipate what you would do in a situation unless you find yourself in it. And no two circumstances are ever the same. So it's very difficult sometimes to imagine exactly what other people's experience are without knowing what their whole past has been, you know, what led up to that. And so sometimes we just have to sort of acknowledge that, you know, the only thing that separates us here in this physical world is the idea of circumstance, choices, environment, you know, like the things that contribute to how we make choices, and our belief systems and our patterns that we've sort of been inherited. We've inherited these patterns and they've been inherited, and it's like, yeah, it's almost like you're being guided to not judge the situation too harshly and to resolve it for yourself with love, forgiveness, and compassion. And then walk away. Surrender it, because this is not up to you. This is out of your control. And you've been carrying this burden since you were a child. You have been hauling those wands from one end of the field to the other since you were a child, carrying that on your back as a load, an emotional load and physical load, and it's been very heavy, and it's just time for you to release it. And to know that, you can actually sit and shift it. You can shift how you look at it and say, if that one moment had not happened, I wouldn't have had the life that I had. And I'm so grateful for the life that I've had. And finding gratitude in the present moment, even to sort of help anchor you into a place where you can really let this go. I feel like there's something here that needs to be let go of. There's the Ten of Pentacles. I almost feel like by being grateful for what you have in the present, you will feel an enormity of prosperity and abundance. And you will feel a significant shift in your stability and security, and sort of that being grounded in your gratitude. That is the key in this reading for you, is being grounded in gratitude. And we see here the Knight of Swords on the bottom of the deck in reverse, which tells me that you have so much restless energy that wants to move, but you don't know which direction to go. And I really feel it's because you're still hanging on to these cups from the past. And you view the past as being unfortunate, and that, you didn't get something that you felt you needed. But I feel like you need to get distance from that way of thinking. And this Knight of Swords is rushing in to try to change your focus. But it's in reverse, and I feel like it's in reverse because right now you don't want to change a focus. Right now you're almost digging your heels in to say, no, this needs to be resolved now. And I'm not moving forward until it does. And I feel like that's a very limited way of looking at what you're going through, only because the cards are really, really suggesting gratitude is the answer. That being grounded in gratitude will actually help you release this, and it'll bring in a lot of fulfillment and a lot of stability and security that you create for yourself. And it's going to shift you have to shift your mindset almost first. You have to sort of shift your mindset to change how you feel about it, to change how you react to it. It all starts with the mindset. It all starts with how you look at it. And then we see this sort of infusion of love, forgiveness, and compassion coming through. So it's a very interesting reading for you this week, Sagittarius. And I feel like whatever this was, it needs love and forgiveness, and then it needs a mindset reset so that you can feel differently about this. You can let it go, walk away, and then start to really feel grounded in your present moment, focusing your mind on the present and being grounded in gratitude. Wow, very interesting reading. Now, let's have a look here for your final messages to close this reading. First card, multifaceted. Yes. So there are many layers and dimensions to the situation or the person you're asking about. So for those of you asking about a certain situation from the past or a certain person that took an action in the past, there was so many factors to this. It's not as simple as the ego wants you to think it is. Your ego might be saying, well, if they had loved me, then they wouldn't have done that. That is such a simple way of looking at something that it doesn't take into account the environment, the circumstances, and the whole situation. It's a very egoic sort of explanation for something that ends up limiting you and keeping you in this sort of carrying the burdens, carrying these emotional wounds around forever because of the story you're telling yourself. And so it almost feels like you have to find a way to release that by acknowledging that everyone does what they do for reasons involving themselves, not others. Like the actions taken in the past were about the person who took those actions. They weren't about you. And that can be tricky for the ego to understand. The ego always says, no, that happened because of me. But ultimately, we take choices and decisions because of how and where we are at, not because of how and where others are at. Everything we do is self-motivated. That again is the function of the ego. So whoever was unfair to you in the past was unfair to you because of themselves. not because of your value or your worth. You know, it affected your value and your worth because of the mindset that you adopted once, you reflected on this. But I feel like you will feel much lighter and much more free to pursue your own prosperity, joy, and happiness if you can somehow release this. And again, I don't want to trigger anybody, but this is what's coming through. Yeah, you need to focus on your own wellness, right? The card wellness is coming through here. Recovery of health and wellness is here. You have that is something you do have control over. There is a lot here you have no control over, but there are things you do have control over. And I feel like that is one of them. The wellness that you feel, the health you feel, the grounding you feel, the love and compassion you offer, and the gratitude you feel for your present moment, that your circumstance now, you're in control of it, Last card. Ooh, that did a nice little jump out of the deck. Purification and detoxification. There is really something that needs to be surrendered here. Something needs to go, Sagittarius. You have to find a way to release it. It says here it's time to release physical and energetic toxins from your life. And it really feels like right now it's time to trust that whatever has transpired was part of a divinely guided story that was meant to bring you to certain experiences, to almost for you to overcome them in this situation anyway. On the bottom of the deck, we see unnecessary worries. Release the burdens of worries by giving them to God for healing and solutions. So there is sort of this idea here of also sort of surrendering what you feel is outside of your control to God for healing and recovery and answers. We're constantly communicating with Source with our vibration and our intentions, and I feel like you can control that, but you can't control the actions of a person in the past. And I really feel like this has to do with something quite specific. So if this is resonating for you, you know what I'm talking about. If it's not resonating for you, it might not be your reading. But perhaps there is something that led you here today that you needed to hear. I'm going to leave it at that for you, Sagittarius. I hope this has been helpful. If this reading has resonated for you, please consider subscribing, liking, sharing, commenting. If you would like a personal reading, you can find that information in the description below. As always, I am sending you so much love and light, and I look forward to reading for you again, my friends. Take care.